So today, we're taking a look at something you literally use hundreds of times a day without even realizing it. We're dissecting the simple present tense. Now, I know exactly what you're kind of thinking right now. Grammar? Really? Come on, I already know how to speak in the present tense. But stick with me for a minute here, because what we're going to uncover in this explainer is that the simple present tense is actually a grammatical time machine. It's like this amazing multi-tool that does way more than just describe what's happening right in front of you. In fact, it's hands down one of the most flexible, surprising, and powerful structures in the entire English language.
So let's kick things off with a slightly provocative question to challenge everything you probably remember from your elementary school grammar classes. Does the present tense actually mean right now? I mean, if I use this tense, am I talking about this exact second in time? Your gut instinct is probably to say yes, right? It's called the present tense, after all. But language is rarely that straightforward. And as we're about to see, the simple present is actually pretty terrible at describing the exact moment you're speaking. Okay, let's dive into this textbook distinction. Think about the phrase, he smokes, compared to he is smoking at the moment. That first one, he smokes, is our simple present tense. The crucial point here is that it absolutely does not tell us whether the action is happening right at this very moment. It tells us about a habit, a characteristic. It just means he's a smoker in general. If we want to make it crystal clear that the smoke is currently in the air right this second, we have to use the continuous form. He is smoking. It's the exact same deal with animals. We say dogs bark because it's just in their nature to do so, but we'd say, my dog is barking at the moment if the mail carrier is currently walking up the driveway.
All right, let's hit section 1, the mechanics. We just need to quickly cover the form and spelling rules before unlocking the cooler features.
Think about the basic architecture here, because the logic is just brilliantly simple. For almost every pronoun out there, I, you, we, they, the simple present looks exactly like the base infinitive of the verb. I work, you work. The magic, or, well, maybe the frustration if you're a new learner, happens in the third person singular. He, she, it. This is where we add that absolutely crucial S. He works. And then, when we form negatives or ask questions, we bring in our auxiliary verb, do. But notice how that S jumps right over. He does not work. Does he work? The main verb goes back to its base form, and that little helper verb takes on all the heavy lifting.
And you know, this brilliantly illustrates how we actually speak in the real world. Think about the foundational rules around contractions. While the formal, strict structure is I do not work or he does not work, native speakers instinctively compress these words together. Do not becomes don't. Does not becomes doesn't. These contractions are quite literally the lifeblood of fluent conversational English when you're using the simple present.
Let's move on and snappily run through how this builds on that pesky third-person singular rule we just talked about. Adding an S isn't always as simple as just slapping a letter on the end. If a verb ends in a hissing sound or an O, like kiss, watch, or go, we add an ES just to make it pronounceable. Kisses, watches, goes. If a verb ends in a Y with a consonant right before it, like carry, we drop that Y, switch it to an I, and add ES. He carries. But, and here's the catch, if there's a vowel right before that Y, like an obey, it stays perfectly normal. You just add the S. Obey becomes obeys. Snappy, right? You now have the complete toolkit for constructing this tense.
Which brings us to section 2, the routine, expressing habitual actions.
Because the simple present is all about habits and facts, it pairs flawlessly with adverbs of frequency. We're talking about words like always, never, occasionally, usually. These words are the absolute best friends of the simple present tense. When you say something like, I go to church on Sundays, or it rains in winter, or I always work at night, you're establishing a pattern. You aren't saying you're doing it right now, you're just stating a truth about your routine. This right here is the bread and butter of the tense.
Let's shift gears and move to section 3, the time traveler, exploring the past and the future.
What's really fascinating about our source material is just how many completely different temporal uses exist for this one single tense. We're essentially looking at these surprising alternative edge cases that are so deeply embedded in our everyday language that we use them totally unconsciously. Let's break down some of the coolest ones.
Imagine picking up a newspaper and seeing a massive headline reading, "Mass Murderer Escapes," or maybe something like, "Peace Talks Fail." Think about this logically for a second. The escape already happened. The peace talks failed yesterday. These are decidedly past events, so why on earth does the journalist use the present tense? It's all about urgency. Immediacy. By using the simple present, the writer drags a past event right into your current reality, making it feel shockingly immediate. It just grabs you by the collar in a way the past tense simply can't do.
And this immediacy isn't just for journalists. Playwrights, authors, and even sports commentators use it constantly for dramatic narrative. Read this quote with me. "When the curtain rises, Juliet is writing at her desk. Suddenly the window opens and a masked man enters." We all know this is fiction. We know the action isn't literally happening as some continuous reality, but the simple present makes the action feel intensely alive. If you listen to a radio commentator calling a football match, he passes to the wing, he shoots, he scores. They're using the simple present to make you feel like you're right there on the pitch with the players.
So the crucial point is that this tense brings the past alive. But what about the future? Take a planned travel itinerary. We leave London at 10 o'clock, we arrive in Paris at 1300. These are planned future actions. The trip hasn't even happened yet. But travel agents and organizers use the simple present for fixed timetables and a scheduled series of actions. It communicates pure certainty. It basically says this future event is so meticulously planned, it's as good as an established fact. And we don't just use it for rigid travel plans either. We subconsciously rely on the simple present to predict conditional future states without even realizing we're doing it. Look at these examples. If I see Anne, I'll ask her. The seeing of Anne hasn't happened yet. It's completely in the future, but we use see, not will see. Or take the time clause. When it stops raining, we'll go out. The stopping of the rain is in the future, yet we say stops. The simple present anchors the condition, so the rest of the sentence can freely fly into the future tense.
Finally, let's look at Section 4, quotes, signs, and state verbs.
I absolutely love this contrast. Think about the profound gravitas of classic literature. Shakespeare says, "Neither a borrower nor a lender be." Now, William Shakespeare has been dead for centuries, yet his words exist in this perpetual present tense. On the completely other end of the spectrum, we have the incredibly mundane reality of a street sign. What does that notice say? It says, "No parking." Whether you're quoting a literary genius from the 1600s, an email you just got from your boss, or a piece of painted metal on a sidewalk, we use the simple present verb says to convey that the message is universally and continuously true.
To wrap things up, we come to a hard and fast rule regarding state verbs. You say, "I love you." You do not say, "I am loving you." Now, sure, a certain fast food chain might use "I'm loving it" as a catchy marketing slogan, but grammatically speaking, verbs that describe a state of being, an emotion, or a fixed mental process, words like love, see, and believe, completely reject the continuous form. You really can't be in the middle of believing something in a temporary way. These verbs force us right back to our trusty, simple present tense to express a permanent state of reality.
So there you have it. Far from just describing what's happening right in front of your face, the simple present is a vehicle for your habits, a megaphone for dramatic past events, a calendar for your future travel plans, and the enduring voice of both Shakespeare and your local parking authorities. It truly is grammar's ultimate multi-tool. So I'll leave you with this thought. Now that you know its secrets, how many times will you time travel with your grammar today? Pay close attention to your own conversations. You might just be surprised by how often you leave the present moment entirely behind. Thanks for joining me on this Explain